it's a new year and a new season of the Marketing Meatball Mafia. In case you forgot who we are, I'm Christina Sarge.
And I'm Allison Micheletti.
If one of your priorities for the new year was upping your social media presence, then today's episode is just for you. Today we have a very special guest, our very own social media guru, Janaya Buck.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Janaya. So we're going to kind of take a step back here to when, let's just kind of focus on Facebook here for a second. When Facebook was in its infancy, do you guys remember when you had to have a super secret college email address to even join Facebook?
And you wait until your college came up.
Right. Yeah. Like when some of us started college, where college wasn't even part of Facebook's thing yet. But as we all know, that has since changed quite dramatically. You know, all of our parents are on Facebook. Some grandparents are on Facebook. Businesses, of course, are on Facebook, sharing anything from recipes to babies to kittens and dogs and all sorts of stuff. But social media can be incredibly crucial for the success of your business and hitting your target market. So that's why we're going to talk a little bit to Janaya today about her expertise. She is currently the social media strategist at Golden Proportions Marketing, but she also has a side business that we'll talk a little bit about here too, that relies heavily on social media, if not solely on social media, right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started in social media, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So it's funny you're talking about, knowing a time that you needed your college email to get into Facebook. That was the year I went to college, and I was like, this is awesome. I can finally join Facebook. I have my college email. I remember signing up and putting in my college email, and then literally the next week they announced, like, anybody can join.
It's for everyone.
And I remember having this, feeling where I was like, darn it, I'm no longer special.
I was special for
now
7 days.
Everybody can do this. So that kind of shows my age, but that's okay. So that was really, when I obviously got a Facebook because that was what you did. That was how you were going to network. And, I went to college in Kutztown, which was 2 hours away from home. And there I went with none of my friends. I didn't know anybody. So that was really how I was keeping in touch with my friends that were at different colleges. And, the cell phones were at a totally different age. Technology in general was at a totally different age than where we're at now. So that was really the way that it was, kind of like the step up from AIM. We went from, MySpace, Zanga, AIM, Facebook. This is how we've gotten here. But so my start with social media was really just social, exactly what it was supposed to be. And then, Instagram came to life, and now we've got, our Snapchat and TikTok and all these other things that are really starting to play a huge role. But the important thing is that when Facebook especially started, it was just social. It was, how do we get communities together, and how do we connect people further away to get them in one spot? And it's developed so much now that people are realizing that, everyone is spending a significant amount of time on social media, to the point where businesses are realizing, hey, if people are already here, I want to be there too. And I'm going to start playing in that field to make sure that they see me, and, to really start to understand my business and what I'm here for and how I can help them.
For sure. Go ahead.
So you mentioned a couple different social media platforms, and we know that there's some that are your constants that you always want to be on, and where you're going to find your target market. And then there's also these ones that have been more of like a flash in the pan, where they're here today and then gone tomorrow. And we get questions a lot from our clients of, should I be on Snapchat? Should I do TikTok? Should I do some of these ones? I can't even remember all of them because there's so many coming and going. And what advice would you give? Because I know that you're big on consistency and being where your audience is.
Yeah. So today, the end of 2019, and I'm dating it because it'll probably change in another 3 months, because that's what social media does. The two biggest platforms that we're seeing that are working very well for our dentists and our clients are Facebook, obviously, and Instagram. Those are the two that if you haven't really dabbled in social media and you're trying to get your kind of dip your big toe in, those are the two that you really want to start off on, because your audience is already there. And a couple of the other platforms, Snapchat, TikTok, the demographic is right now much younger, and it's a totally different target audience than what you see on Facebook, where, you know, the age gaps from, you know, 22 all the way up to 65, and Instagram is more, you know, you're a little bit younger yet, you know, the 20 to 35 year olds, but it's all about, you know, really targeting the audience that you're trying to find, and not, you know, trying to pull them in. It's more so realizing they're already there, and how can you speak to them in the way that they're going to find you.
Well, I think that brings up a great point too, is how do you speak to them in a way that they're going to find you and they're going to appreciate the things that you're sharing with the communities, right?
Absolutely.
And I think there's maybe a common misconception that if you post it, they will come kind of thing. And while that's certainly
at one
an
point
important
that was
part,
true. At one point that was
true,
a thing.
True. And you should be active. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I am suggesting is that something that was at one point kind of so elementary, has since become incredibly complex. And it's no longer enough to just kind of post.
Like set it and forget it kind of thing.
It's there's so many insights to be gained here. There's now advertising options here, and it has turned into its own kind of animal. So can you maybe talk a little bit about let's start from kind of the beginning, the importance of knowing what you're posting and making it as authentic as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So tone is my favorite thing to focus on, and my favorite word when talking about social media. And it's so I truly believe that is, if not the most important part, one of the most important parts of really setting who you are as a business and as a figure and what you represent on social media. And, you know, tone isn't just the way that you say things. It's the actual, you know, the feeling that you're getting when you're reading posts. Do you want to be more serious? Do you want to be more professional? Are you fun and lighthearted? If you're, you know, a pediatric dentist and you want to really be able to play to moms, you know, you have to talk like a mom for people to really understand and relate to you. And that alone is going to help you seem to the public more authentic. People are very, very smart, and bots are very, very smart. You know, AI in general has really developed over the years, and it is extremely obvious now, more so than before, to pick up on when someone is being fake, or it feels like someone is just posting to post and it's not really, you know, credible information, or it's not authentic. And it's just one of those where, you know, you can tell that the business or the person is just kind of doing it because,
just to check it off their list.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Posted something today.
Right. Somebody told me I need to be posting 3 times a week, so I'm just going to throw on whatever I want 3 times a week, you know? And what is so important now is, with the authenticity, is really developing your tone for your brand and sticking to it and being consistent with that. And not just, you know, one day you're going to have this really great post about, you know, maybe it was a testimonial of a patient that just came in, and you're doing like this whole big smile makeover, and the person is so appreciative, and you're posting that, and it's really great content. What we see more often than not is that it's easy to get distracted sometimes too when you do have that one post that does so well, and you're like, oh, I just posted on Monday and I had this amazing engagement and it's so stellar. We're going to let it go for a while because it did so well. You're not making the algorithm any happier by not paying attention to it. It really is, you know, you have to think of like a toddler that wants your attention. Like, that's it. It wants to know that you are on the platform, that you're not going other places, that you're bringing communities and bringing people to the platform to stay on the platform.
Right, it's almost like that tortoise and hare mentality.
Yeah,
of just
absolutely.
because you got really far really fast doesn't mean you should stop. Like,
Right.
slow and
That's
steady.
like your quick speed,
right.
you know, and that's really great for right now. And that's obviously how we know, like, things go viral. But more often than not, that's also how you become a one-hit wonder. And that's obviously not going to sustain a business. You know, that's not a business model that is going to get you more patients in the door more frequently, or to sustain your business model overall.
Right. And with that being said, these are social networks. So the visibility that you'll be able to be seen. Can you talk a little bit about how that works? I know there's so many posts going out at one time, and when any of us log in, we're only going to see so many. And usually the ones we're seeing are from the people in our network or the businesses that we either interact with the most or they're being more social. So I think this is where we maybe get into that paralysis by analysis and knowing that, well, we know we have to post things. We know it has to be multiple times throughout the week. And, oh my gosh, how am I going to come up with all of that content? So can you first maybe explain how that algorithm rewards you for that slow and steady continual posting, and then how do you come up with this much content?
So kind of starting with, and then we're going to go a roundabout way to get to the final answer here. But yes, making the algorithm happy is so important. And, so many people try to focus on, what they want to know. They want to know exacts. They want to know what to post, what time to post, what days a week are better. And the answer is that the answer is different for everyone. And there are obviously standards of, wanting to post during certain times, but a lot of people don't take into consideration, especially with, businesses, is that there are people in different time zones that are trying to reach you too. So what is 11 o'clock here may not be 11 o'clock to whoever's really looking at you, and that speaks more to like a retail side of a business, maybe not necessarily to dentists, but it's certainly something that you want to take into consideration, especially for consultants who are working with dentists that are all over the United States,
That's a great point.
So that's one of the things that is kind of a misconception, is that there's been this formula and it's tried and true and you have to do it. It's not.
Tuesdays at noon.
Right, yeah. Tuesdays at noon every day,
everybody
and that's
starts
it.
posting at Tuesday at noon.
Right,
like, just
right.
even more noise.
Exactly. And, with how Facebook has developed over the years, it has become a pay-for-play platform, 100%. Yep. And there is a statistic that says that on a public page, for every 100 followers, likes that you have, organically, you can expect only 6 people out of the 100 to see your posts. And that's scary.
That's crazy.
Years ago, at one point, I remember, and this, when I had started my own personal retail business on Facebook, I'd make one post and it would blow up and you'd have hundreds of people liking it, and it was seriously overwhelming, and that was only just in 2016. So it wasn't even, it was 3 years ago. It doesn't sound like it's that long, but back then you could post something and organically it didn't matter. You knew people were going to see it. But now that more businesses and Facebook is realizing that they have an outlet to really make money here, they're realizing that, you're not going to keep getting rewarded just for organic content. And especially as a business, and having a lot of the times our dentists have close competitors, and it really is, you can't just rely on only organic posts to really get you seen. You have to, start talking more about, maybe boosted posts or Facebook ads or things like that to really start having Facebook see. And it's, it's almost sad because you feel like it's like the big bully, like, oh, I have to pay you to get people to see my stuff. Like, it's not good enough that it's not just really great and I know that my followers are going to like it.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately that's just not the case
Facebook
anymore.
is a business too.
Exactly. And that's the bottom line people have to remember, is that, Facebook didn't just start itself to to bring communities together and help the world. But as a business, they have their own goals and things that they need to be able to set and maintain for their own livelihood as well.
So you mentioned 2 things, like right near the end of that statement, that I kind of want to touch on a little bit, because I think it can be confusing for dental offices, or kind of like they're going in blind. They don't really know how to do this or what to do.
Right.
And that's boosting and ads.
Yep.
Like, there's so much more to Facebook than simply creating posts.
Yes.
And you can certainly pay to play, and you should probably pay to play if this is a strategy that you want to invest in and you want to spend time on. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the difference between Facebook ads and a boosted post?
Yep. So the way that I like to think of it and describe it is in the most elementary terms as possible, because it is extremely complex on the top level. And unless you really do have a background in social media and advertising, you're not going to understand it. But what's important to know is that with a Facebook boost, so a boosted post is a post that's already been made on your page that is maybe getting a lot of great attention, or people are really engaging with it and it's important. So it wouldn't necessarily just be something random that people thought was funny that has nothing to do with your business. It's maybe a great example would be a testimonial that you posted and someone's extremely happy and people are really interacting with it and, saying like, oh, this is amazing, or like, great job, things like that. That would be an instance where you would want to then boost that post so more people who are in a like audience of the people that have already liked it are also now going to see it. So that is something that, that's the way that I like to think of it. If you're going to boost something, it's existing content. You're boosting something that already exists because people already like it.
Interactions.
Exactly.
Which, sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
to bring up a good point here, that makes it ever so more important to monitor what is happening on your business page.
Yes, and that's a great point too. And that's something that, we have a couple clients that have really said, we want to up our social media game. How do we do it? And they start to do a really great job, and they're starting to see engagement, and they get so excited by just seeing the engagement, but they forget that they need to also comment back. They need to really be, on the receiving and the replying end of this engagement to really keep the conversation going. And again, it's all about making the algorithm happy, Well,
and responding does a couple of things. It makes the algorithm happy, if I understand correctly. It pleases the algorithm, but it also shows your audience that you're listening, and that the content you're putting out there is real, and you are real, and this is something that you're passionate about.
Yes, and that you value their time, and that's something else that really blends into the authenticity is that, if I make a post and you comment and say something on it, you're as the business owner, I'm acknowledging that you're important, that I value what you have to say to me, and it is important for me to also respond back to you.
Exactly.
And other people see that too, and they're like, oh, this is cool. This business is actually taking the time and looking at the things that I'm saying back. And it's kind of that subconscious where they feel like they can trust you because they know that you're responsive. They know that you're there.
Well, I think it's becoming an expectation.
Right.
I'm sure you guys get inundated with Facebook ads all the time.
Sure.
All the time. And one of the kind of fascinating things that I like to do, nerd, but I like to look at the comments that people make, especially on like ads or boosted posts for, it's more so retail, but I like to look at them and see what they're saying. And if the business is not responding, 9 times out of 10, there are multiple comments that are basically calling out the business. Like,
womp, womp.
Where are you? Why aren't you responding to this? And all of that plays into the reputation.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
Sorry for getting off topic.
Switch
back to ads now.
That's a great point. So that's our boosted. And then ads are for something a little bit more preemptive. They are not as impulsive. They are something that is more planned. So a great idea for this, if you're going to do anything or play with Facebook ads, would be if you're going to set up some kind of new campaign or maybe a contest, or you have this new great promotion for smile whitening or something like that. You want to set up an ad so more people are going to be able to see what you're offering, what there is to offer. And a lot of what we see a lot of times is that especially with Facebook ads in general, is that they reach such a great audience, but a lot of what happens with the ads happens so under the belt that no one sees. So with a boost, you're really seeing everything that's happening. Whereas ads, there's so much back work that goes into setting it up, pushing it out live, and then it kind of does its thing. It's not based on previous engagement to get more engagement. It really is the start and stop of what is happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. And I think it's important to mention that not every Facebook ad has the same goal.
Right, absolutely.
Because there's some that are strictly meant for like, let's just get your brand in front of as many people as possible, and we don't necessarily expect conversions from that. But what we are looking for is, impressions, number of people it hit, things along those lines. But then there's also a different type of ad that maybe is encouraging people, like you mentioned, a contest or to schedule an appointment or
things that you're more focused on the clicks,
and so it's
the end game where they're going.
Absolute strategy involved.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know we find, like, stepping out of like your world a little bit, that the Facebook ads are a great complement to a very well-rounded, comprehensive pay-per-click strategy. That I would not abandon your other pay-per-click for Facebook, just because, as Janaya has illustrated and Allison just said, it's more, Facebook is great for brand awareness. All these campaigns are going to get you a lot of brand awareness, but we would never promise huge conversion or set up the expectation that Facebook's going to be huge conversion, because people go there for their outlet.
Right.
I know, like, when I'm on a break or in the evening, when honestly I just want to do something thoughtless, brainless, no brain power. I'm not on a mission to find anything.
Right.
I'm just scrolling. That I see lots of ads, but to me they're like social billboards, and that unless it really jumps out at me or I've seen it a bazillion times and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll buy your thing, I'm just gonna scroll right past it. So those boosted posts that come off even more organic in your feed, that you don't even realize that you're looking at something that somebody's paid to boost, get more interaction, at least in my experience, than the paid Facebook ads. Not to say that I wouldn't ever do them.
Right.
It just seems more authentic from the business.
Yes. And that's a good point to make too. From an aesthetic standpoint, a boosted post just looks like a post.
Right.
It doesn't look like an ad. It doesn't say sponsored underneath or anything like that. It just looks like it's a post, because that's what it is.
Right, it's just a post.
The payment part of it comes into play when it's, the boosting part of it is to get it to more like audiences of the engagement that it's already gotten. But, to the, like you were saying, to the general scroller, they're not looking at that and thinking like, oh, you're trying to get me to buy something. Right. That's usually not the case. It was something that was genuinely, and those, boosted posts are usually the time that you want to push more awareness, brand awareness. You're not really trying to sell them on something or get them to like join a club or anything like that. You're not really trying to get anything. It's so top of the funnel, you know what I mean? Like it's really not, that's not where you're stopping and where you're getting the end result. That's really just to kind of help supplement for something else that's happening.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. And I think that it helps explain it a lot for anybody that might be wondering the difference. But I know then, a lot of people are probably making this their New Year's resolution of, this year I'm going to tackle my social media. But where do they start? I know that you work with some of our clients that want that more hand-on, high-touch approach, and you will certainly coach them through their social media presence and making it authentic to them. But if somebody wasn't quite ready for that level of support from us on their social media, what are some things that they can do themselves to plan now to set themselves up for success throughout the year?
Yeah. So the big thing is really establishing your goal. And I think that is one of the things that we see not happening. People are just on social media because an agency told them they have to be, or they know that other, their competitors are, and they feel like they have to. So they're just, it's kind of like the zombie effect. Like they're just posting to post because they know that they have to, and it becomes so monotonous. But what's really important is to define your goal and what you expect to accomplish on social media. So whether it is just awareness, or whether it's, gaining a following, or making sure that you have clicks to a website or to a campaign or something like that, really going into it that way, then when you are posting, you kind of have that in the back of your head where you can kind of question yourself, is this post helping me get to my end goal? Is this what I'm posting going to help me get to where I want to see myself? Right. And, content calendars are a really great way to start to get organized. That's obviously a service that we offer at GPM, but there are a lot of really, really great social media butterflies that typically work in offices. And I think that it's important for our dentists to kind of relinquish control and not be afraid of that if they do have, an opportunity to do that, even just for an extra set of eyeballs, or maybe like an extra brain to help them generate ideas. And content calendars on our level are really, really great because they are your entire month at a snapshot, or sometimes your entire quarter at a snapshot. And it allows you to, if something is starting to change, or you're seeing a lot of really great response with one topic and you want to continue with that, it's not a big deal, because you can just kind of shuffle things around. But when you're trying to be so impulsive and just post in the moment, that's great sometimes. But, you don't always have those opportunities. Yeah. So you have to kind of have like a backup strategy. So, even maybe not as fully fleshed out as a content calendar, but just literally sitting down with a blank calendar and saying, okay, I know it's Allison's birthday that's coming up, and then Christina has a work anniversary. So we're gonna start there, because we know that on Monday the 11th and Wednesday the 19th we're gonna have these two things, and that's gonna cover our social media for the day. And then we can kind of back up and make a plan on everything else that's going to supplement what's happening. Sure. Mm-hmm. And this kind of takes us to a new topic about the 80-20 rule, and that's something that is very prevalently known in the marketing side, but I'm not sure if it's really that well known in the dental marketing side. Is that 80% of your content that you're posting should be more targeted to you and your brand and making awareness. 20%, only 20% should be towards sales and towards, really trying to get money. And if you are following that even kind of closely, you're going to see a big boost in your engagement, because people realize you're being authentic. You're not trying to just constantly sell them something, and people want to know that they can trust you. They want to know who it's coming from. They want to know where their dollars are being spent. And that is so important. And, in saying that, that's why we naturally see so much engagement and very high spikes in impressions when dentists are posting pictures of their families or their dogs or things like that, because what that does is it lets the viewer or the potential new patient know that their money is helping feed a family. Their money is going towards, the greater good. It's not just going to, a 6-figure CEO salary that doesn't need it, things like that. And it makes you look like a person. It makes you more relatable as a business in general.
Right. And
definitely.
And that's the opportunity we have here just in healthcare marketing in general, as we work with even some private practice doctors, is that white coat syndrome is a very real thing for a lot of people. And it might sound silly, but I've seen this firsthand in my own family, that just walking through the doors of something that's considered medical makes people feel very uncomfortable. But knowing coming into this that I'm coming to meet Dr. Allie or Dr. Janaya, and they do a lot of the things outside of work that I like to enjoy, or their moms too. Like, I automatically feel a connection with you and can relate. I'm not having as much anxiety or apprehension meeting you the first time in my dental appointment.
Yeah. Right. Well, you touched on something that I want to circle back to that I think is important for all businesses to know, but especially local small businesses, is if you're going to invest in a Facebook ad campaign and you're going to pay money for this, I just want to be very kind of straightforward. You also then need to be active on your page.
Yes, absolutely.
Like you said, the 80-20 rule. Right. If all you're doing is running an ad, but on your business page, you're not supplementing
you haven't posted in 3 months.
Any other information about your practice. It's, again,
it's confusing to the end user. They don't get it.
They're getting mixed messages.
Right.
If your ad is very authentic, but then they go to your page, which Facebook wants you to keep people on Facebook.
Keep them on the app.
And then they go to your business Facebook page and they don't see anything that's updated. It can have an immediate effect.
It's the opposite. What
you don't want. You don't want. So if you're going to do one, make sure you're on board to do the other.
And that goes hand in hand with just consistency in general. You cannot, and I want to stress this, you cannot expect Facebook, Instagram, any of them. You can't expect an overnight boom. Unless you have that one funny post that goes viral. Like your kid said something funny when he was brushing his teeth or something like that. And that is not practical. Thinking that you're going to have that 10 seconds of fame is not a practical business model. And that's a really great point, is that, you have to be consistent everywhere. If you are going to boost a post, you're not just boosting a post and then not posting for 3 weeks after it. Or if you are going to run an ad, ideally that potential new patient or current patient is going to be like, oh yeah, Dr. Allie, I haven't seen what she's up to. I'm going to go to her page and I'm going to find out. But if they get there and they're like, wait a minute, she hasn't posted in a couple weeks. why did I even get an ad? Like what? And that's kind of where
active here? Like, how does this work? What?
Right. And that's where it starts to get fishy to the end user, because they're like, then your gears start working, and as the end user, you're kind of like, oh, so clearly she just wants my money and she doesn't really care about anything else that's happening.
Again, the consumers are smart.
Right.
They know this stuff,
they know.
and everybody's so exposed to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to lump everybody together here. Everybody is overexposed to social media, and they're smart. They kind of know how the game works.
Right. Absolutely. And that's, and again, like authenticity, tone, all of that is going to really help combat all of those negative effects that can happen with businesses that are not using that, to their strengths. And I think that is so important, just showing that you care. It goes so far. And there's so many easy, quick ways that you can do that are, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out.
Right.
You just have to care. You just have to kind of, whether it's showing empathy or, showing that you are involved in the community or, things like that. People want to know that their dollars are going towards the greater good, that they're not being wasted. They want to know that you care about them, that you're not just, after them because they're going to become a new headcount number for you. They really want to know that they're important.
Right.
So we do have a resource that's available and downloadable for free that Janaya actually created and wrote all the content for and put together the examples. And it has a full month's worth of content already mapped out for you. And
it can be used at any month. It's not specific to certain month.
Not specific. And the great thing about social media is by the end of 30 days, people aren't necessarily going to remember that you made the same type of post 30 days ago.
Right.
So if
they even saw all of them,
exactly.
The 6 out of 100,
The really wonderful thing about this resource is that just simply to get started, if your first thing is like, my first baby step is, let's just map out this content.
What do I post?
Where do I start? Let's download Janaya's guide and then map out your first month with the content calendar that she's already providing, basically fill in the blanks. And then if that went well for you, you can rinse and repeat that as many times as needed throughout the year. Then once you get comfortable with the post, so step 2 would be like, well, some of these got really great engagement. Which one should I post? Which one should I not? Give us a call. We're happy to offer that free advice to you.
Right.
And then if you then later on, after you've tackled steps 1 and 2, want to do something like a Facebook ad. Hello, kitties.
Kitties and puppies are always a really great thing to post too. Yeah.
Speaking of authenticity.
Right. So if your office has a therapy dog, those are great posts to make. But in any case,
office cat
or an office cat. But to what I was saying earlier is that once you get your content calendar down, start getting some engagement and traction on the post, then you want to become a little bit more dangerous, and we'll help you pick out which ones to boost. We're always available for a call to offer that advice. And then if you're feeling really like living on the edge and you want to start doing some Facebook ads, then we can help you with that as
that
well.
requires a little bit more strategy.
Right. So that's a deeper conversation. But those first 2 steps are really what we want to see you be able to walk away from today and do. So, Janaya, why don't you tell them where they can find your guide, how to download it?
Our website is goldenproportions.com. There is a resources tab there that you'll be able to see. It is the social media content strategies.
I think they go for social media guide.
Yes. I'm having a hard time remembering because we've posted so many awesome resources this year, and there is really a great amount of content there, not just for social media, but for other, there's videos on tips and tricks about things to post on Instagram and Facebook, and there's great guides on the differences, more intricate differences between boosted posts and ads and things like that.
We could put a direct link on the Meatball website under this episode, as well as under kind of your bio that we'll put up there. So we'll put a direct link on the site to that. But I think one of the things that's in that guide, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of them is kind of weird holidays that people don't necessarily talk like
National Iced Tea Day.
And you can have a lot of fun with those.
And they're usually the posts too they're like, they don't require from who's posting, they don't require a ton of brain power. Like National Popcorn Day, it's something that you post and say it's National Popcorn Day, like what's your favorite flavoring on your popcorn, or have you been to the movies? Like exactly, like have fun with it, and not I think that's a misconception too, is that everyone thinks that every single post they make has to be related to their industry or to anything. It goes back to the authenticity. humans are human. They want to be able to know that they can relate to you on some other level, not just as my dentist, something like that.
Exactly. Well, and you can even use some of those fun days to relate back to dentistry.
Right.
There's absolutely ways you can do that to get a little creative, and it's a really great resource to check out.
Right. Dude, like the popcorn, like ever get a kernel stuck on your feet?
Right.
Or stuck in your feet.
I mean, maybe, but
yeah, or get a kernel stuck in your
I'm not sure how you eat your popcorn, but
well, and like, braces, like that's, talk about the foods that maybe you want to stay away from if you're, having, or if you need popcorn, how you're going to get that stuff out of your braces. There's it's that taking another step with, not just stopping with the obvious, kind of trying to take that second step and really, trying to connect with your audience, not just reach them.
Well, it can even be almost like a team building exercise too.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look ahead and you see, I'm just familiar with this one, the Talk Like a Pirate Day, and kind of go around the room and brainstorm, like, how can we utilize this? Film a hygienist. Are you flossing? Like silly things and authentic things.
But that's the stuff that people love.
That's what they like.
The goofy, like, you don't have to think about it. It was a funny, like, it's hysterical to me, but like bad dad jokes are always like, everybody laughs at them. Like, you don't want to laugh at them, but you have to.
Because it's so relatable.
Right, exactly. And like it invokes feelings too for the end user. They see that and they're like, oh my gosh. But usually they're like, this reminds me of my dad, or this reminds me of, you kind of have that like that feeling that it's giving you the warm and fuzzies, it's making you feel things other than
an emotion.
Yes.
And that's kind of the trick.
Far.
That's one of the goals, at least. So, are there any other kind of tidbits that we didn't touch on that? We covered a lot, today. But is there anything all encompassing?
Yeah. The big thing is, social media is scary to some people and it's not to others, and that's okay. It doesn't matter if you think you're super comfortable with it. The people that are super comfortable with it still screw up. We are not 100% we are 100% human. We're not 10% robot where it's everything's going to be perfect all the time, and you kind of have to let go of the idea of perfection. You have to be okay with being imperfect. You have to realize that maybe your hair doesn't look the greatest this day, but you have something really important to say, and the message is going to be more important than that like flyaway that you have, and people are going to acknowledge that. And it's so important. Again, like, the all-encompassing two words that I really want everybody to gather from this is authenticity and tone, and really establishing and setting the bar high for who you are. That way, even before coming into your office, the end user knows exactly what to expect when they do walk through your doors. They know that they're going to see Dr. Allie, and they know that, she plays field hockey and that she had this really great game and she just won this championship. And, they're going to expect, to have a conversation about that if that's something that means something to them as well. And, they want to be able to relate. They want to be able to feel human and know that you're not just a number to them. And that is so important and I don't think that this is something that is going to change quickly. It is definitely just the way the world is going. They want to feel a connection. It's no longer just about building a community. It's about really building the connection.
Well, I think that if anything, I think it's going to get more like that. I think we got away from that for a little while, which we won't touch on that.
Right.
But I think Facebook's making a conscious effort to maybe reel it back a little bit into that sense of community and
really getting back to what. And again, it's, if you don't have a goal and you lose sight of that goal and then things start happening in between and you and that's exactly what happened, without going into extreme detail, Facebook kind of lost sight and had all of these really amazing things happening for so long that I feel like they just kind of lost sight of the overall goal and had to take a step back and be like, okay, hold on. This is where we started. This is where we promised ourselves we were going to end. Now, how do we regroup and get back on that path? Yep. And, that happens too with every business. You get caught up in something or life happens, and things, maybe you do have a week where you can't post, something, a family emergency happened or something like that. I don't want anyone to think that, yes, you should be consistent and you should expect to have to be consistent for 3 to 6 months before you really even see a big impact. But I don't want them to be so afraid of like, oh my gosh, I've been posting for 3 months and I had, a family emergency and I couldn't post for 4 days. I'm ruined. You're not ruined. It's, know, it's really that then becomes the, okay, maybe making a post then to say like, hey guys, I'm back. And, you know, this, you know, treating it like you're human and something happened and it's not a big deal. And people really appreciate knowing that you're transparent about what's going on in your life. And again, be able to relate to that. You know, there's so many times where, and I'm sure, you know, Christina, you can relate as a mom that you have a full-on plan for the day, and then, you know, your child doesn't know what he wants for breakfast, and it throws everything off, you know, and it's hard to sometimes bounce back from that, but knowing that you are absolutely not the only mom that has ever experienced, you know, a toddler meltdown or anything like that. But those are the types of posts that are a little bit more funny, a little bit lighthearted, and that people want to engage with to share their life stories as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is great information, and we really thank you for joining us today and sharing your expertise. There's still so much more to talk about, but I think a good place for our viewers to start is by downloading that guide. Check it out, read through it. It's very easy read. It's a very interesting read, and try it. You know, start off this new year.
Start somewhere.
Gotta start somewhere. Gotta start somewhere. Start by reading the guide, maybe map out a calendar for February. You know, there's a lot of good things happening in February that you could take advantage of. So that's where I would recommend you start and just kind of test. Yeah. You know, test it and make sure you're staying active and being yourself.
Right. And if you have questions or need help, we're here and we're happy to offer any advice. So
absolutely,
just reach out.
And don't forget, if you are interested in what we're saying, always feel free to subscribe on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook. If you want to become a guest, or if there's something that you want to talk about, we are more than happy to have you. Just submit a form on our website.
All right. That's all for now. We'll see you at the next episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
This episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia podcast is brought to you by Golden Proportions Marketing.